Hello, the game has started and my opponent has opened with a bingo. 68 points. I have this rack to consider, a little vowel heavy. Don't see a bingo straight off the bat. Adenoma, if I could flip the W upside down. Any compound words? I have the down component, but then the rest of the rack very vowel heavy. Now, any four timers through the eye? Not that I can see. So, what to do? Maybe wagon. 17, pretty dismal. Can't get much more value from the W. 21. It is. Now, do I have a bingo with this lot? K9 plus an O. I have the con prefix. If the A were an I, I'd have conine. Co-native, not quite. And I'd need the N to be a C for cocaine. So the P, does that help? I have the non-prefix. No, nothing jumping out. Looking at parallel plays, but let me just consider the P for a second, and maybe the G. What about an ING? Canoeing. That's worked out well. Now, I've drawn the Z, but not a single vowel to work with. Luckily, there are a few floating around the board. For example, this A. So I could do slack. Oh. Ghoul. Yeah, could still play it. And what a shame I can't take advantage of this triple word square at H1 or even O1. That's not going to happen. So what about slack? 37, not a bad score. And hopefully I'll draw some vowels. Wow, no vowels, but I do draw one of the blanks. I have zo camera. And wondering about front hooks for camera, if there are any. So I've got hertz through the E. So 34, not a bad rack leaf. I think I'll go with this. Yeah. Not a great pickup, if the truth be told. 2 Ys, never great for bingo prospects. And then the duplicate T, not ideal either in respect of the rest of the tiles. But yeah, I think I can resolve the rack. Slack, I don't think takes a Y. Slacky might be good. Slackly, I'd imagine would be okay, but not slacky. Let's have a look. No, it's no good. Opponent's play of whiz hasn't changed much for me. No front hooks for hertz. Weird. Now, canoeing doesn't help. Yeah, I think I need to definitely get rid of a Y, at least one of the Ys, preferably both. I could do that with yay for a dismal 14. The rest of the rack pretty strong. This also does take out a useful floater in the A and frustrates the N. Although the board fairly open to hook bingos onto, I'm going with this. Duplicate city. I have the ED ending and DE prefix. Guillotino, not quite. Now I've got I've got a unlettered. There are probably quite a few. Unlettered, unfettered would be ERED, so that wouldn't work. Unbettered, maybe. Unsettered sounds a bit clumsy. Unnetted sounds possible, but unvetted, what about that? That sounds good. Now Voxel jumps out as a 5-letter X play. I think Voxel is good. I've got an X spot here, but no dual directional play. Xylol through a Y. Neither Y available. Now look at this spot. Nice parallel play by opponent. Has he provided a hot X spot? Not that I can see. Now I was looking at a little neat parallel play here. So what about Oxter for 47? Terrible rack leave, but I'm willing to suffer the punishment for 47 points. Unless there's a play that gets the X placed at L15 and then gets the whole word tripled. Don't see it. I'm going with Oxter, 47. Valet, I think, might be... Well, it would be double T E at the end, and I think it's one L. But let's have a try. Valet. No, I didn't think it's... Anyway, worth a try. The ATE ending is often quite useful, but not seeing... now, what did opponent do? He exchanged 5. Can I reach the triple word square down in the bottom right corner? Delate. Won't score very well. Can I incorporate the V? Delve doesn't quite reach. My V is my scoring tile. I think delate looks okay for 24. Interesting. The Q, I've got a cat play onto the T, but apart from that, the Q not great on this board at all. Favor. Okay, my cat spot's still available. Opponent just a few points behind. Now this looks a bit better. Favriol. Why does that ring a bell? Favriol onto an E, or am I mixing that up with something? Now there is still this N for bingo ending in N, and that could follow the pattern of a shin ending, T-I-O-N. Variol, maybe I'm mixing Favriol with Variol. Variol takes the E at the end. Opponent's play of Bud. Doesn't help me much. Now I've got Vile in the bottom right. There is still a bingo prospect through the P, but if I play Vile, that makes it less likely, slightly less likely to happen. Favrile, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think it's Favrile, but that won't fit. Alright, I'm going with Vile. Or maybe, how many 7 vowels, 12. I was going to say voile, V-O-I-L-E, but there are fewer vowels left than I thought, so I'll go with this. Vile. So, that's a good looking rack. F and B, not great together for bingos, but pretty close here. F plays next to F, and I could go down with something like L takes, well, it takes nothing apart from the F. So ref I could play, but 3-letter word I could still get here, something like fon. 30 points, not bad. Decent rack leave. Bow takes an R, so bingo ending in R-E-T. Bingo lane created. Is there a bingo on my rack? Four ban? No. Some bingo-y tiles remaining, but I don't think I have to worry too much. I think I will go with fon in the interests of saving some time. 30 points. Okay, and now I have the H and the B for score. Unbear. Hair bun. No, that's not a thing. Where does my H play? It actually plays quite nicely under the C, and I can get dual direction. Wow, nice bingo by opponent. And he's got egg remaining. And he's got a bit of a lead, so I need to score well here. Est. Hayen. That's quite a good score. 31, but he might still win. 31. How much does this get? Hander, that is 41. Yeah, I'm going with that. And opponent's got egg. He can probably go out somewhere. I can definitely go out. Oh, he's just played 2 there. Cab and B. That's a decent score. 27. I probably could have gone out somewhere, but that score was too good to refuse. And opponent will go out with Ting. So that's the end of the game. 449 to 407. Let's see what we missed. We'll go back to the beginning. Oh. Okay, so opponent had a number of different bingos. Goes with dirting. Woaded for 22. On to the D. Yeah, that's probably the play. AN, very good rack leave. And then a lower score, but a much better rack leave with arrow. Yeah, I should have considered those two. I went with weird. Okay, Opa for 15. And then I've got canoeing for 63. Almost missed that. Opponent's got goo for 23. That looks fine. Then slack for 37. Wasn't bad. and camera for 39 was the top score. Then Hertz for 34, that's best here. Then opponents got OnFlow for 32 at 12G. Oh, getting value from the K and then doubled. Goes with Wiz. Tied for 21. I wanted to get rid of both Ys, just in the interests of bingoing as soon as possible. So still happy with my play. And then Joe for 23, it looks fine. And then a few different options: untented, untested, unlettered, unvetted, unwetted, and unnetted. So, and there's probably, that was it, yeah. Now opponent had foiled for 44. That was a nice parallel play. Then X-Doll at L3. Now that's quite nice. I did end up playing the X Oxter, so it wasn't far behind. And opponent exchanges, no surprise there. Although he had Snab for 35. That's not too bad, actually. Terrible rack leave, but wow, 35 points for Snab. He goes with an exchange. Then Deval. There was actually a V play in the bottom right. That's a huge score, 42, from a unpromising looking rack, and a very nice rack leave. So Deval with 2 L's. I went with Delate. And then opponent Simp for 41 looks best. Flavor for 22, or Cat. I just wanted to get rid of that Q ASAP, and it also kind of frustrated the M and the P for bingos a little bit. And then opponents got this rack, no playable bingo. Goes with Bud. Frivol for 24, Vile for 24. Yeah, pretty close equities. And then opponents got a beautiful rack, Nitrates for 82 at G3. Look at that for a parallel play. Beautiful. Nitrates, but he goes with Tyann. And then Fon for 30 looks fine. Versins, opponent does get the bingo down right at the end. And then Hander for 41 seems best, along with Harden. And opponent's top play here was Tinge for 12. So yeah, that wouldn't have been enough. Goes with Meg, which gives me another play. Rube, I could have played out with Rube, but that score, wow, 27. Had to grab it, and then opponent goes out with what happened there? Opponent played Ting, and then I was stuck with the U, yeah, so he went out. That's fine. So that was the end of the game. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.